Hey, welcome to Non-Perishable Goods Podcast. And we are so excited that you are taking the time to just be with us today and, join the conversation of everything that's going on in America. And today, one of the hot topics is DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And Bishop, he's gonna put us on to what that means.
Basically a framework and philosophy that organizations use to promote fair treatment and full participation of all people, particularly those who have been historically underrepresented or discriminated against.
Sounds good. Sounds about right.
So diversity is recognizing and valuing differences and characteristics such as race, gender, ethnicity, sexual orientation, disability, age, culture, class, veteran status, or religion. Equity is ensuring fairness and treatment, access to opportunities, information, and resources, and addressing systematic barriers that prevent some individuals from thriving. Inclusion is creating a culture of belonging where everyone feels welcome, respected, and encouraged to participate fully.
Woo! To me, that just sounds like how the world should be, like common sense. It feels very common sense to me, right? So why does he want to get rid of it? Like, I feel like that is just something that should be a part of our workforce, our moral, ethical business, uh, status. But I was like, it really should be, but we're living in America, and if we think about the whole struggle between like, because the founding fathers of America did not make this system for all people when they first initially founded the Constitution, and over time it's progressed and people have added different things to make our society more fair and more equal and more inclusive. And that's why I think that, it's the whole argument between keeping America as it was in the beginning. But I feel like the America that I'm proud of is where it was today before all these executive orders rescinding a lot of, our protections for civil right protections are still kind of there, but in the workforce, it's changing. So, like, because I think last show I was like, yeah, I'm proud to be an American, but I am proud to be an American in a society that's progressing, that is including all people, women, people of color, people that have disabilities, just everyone. Like everyone should be a part of our picture, right? What?
Um, sure.
No, but seriously, don't you think so? Like, I mean, isn't that what we're all here for? Like, we
If
all
you're
it should be fair.
qualified, then yes.
Right, right. That's the thing. So, as I did my research, I found out that DEI has nothing to do with quotas. It doesn't like everybody on, that I've heard like on the conservative side, they're saying that, it's reverse racism, it's causing it's not meritocracy. It's just, putting people of color or women in over white men. But that's not, or it's reverse racism, but that's not the case. DEI has nothing to do with quotas. Like, okay, how can I say this? So affirmative action. So there's like I was trying to say in the beginning, like the founders, the original founders of America were white, elite, rich men that own land. So over time, they added more people to the picture, like, women, we got our voting rights. Even poor whites were able to start voting. Um, Black people, people of color, all that, they started getting more rights in America. So these systems were, they were trying to progress the system. So I think like in uh, before the Civil Rights Act was enacted in 1965, before that, so many people were excluded from the picture of what America was. Like this system, the American system, systematically was not made for all people. It was made for the white, male, rich, wealthy landowners. So that's why we've had to create the Civil Rights Act. We've had to have the Employment or Equal Employment Opportunity Committee. We've had to have DEI policies, and we've had to have affirmative action. And all those things have like been added over time, like in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and the 90s and the
Well,
2000s.
talk about the quota. What do you mean it's not, it has nothing to do with quota?
Okay, so affirmative action, that was, one of the pieces that has helped to try to make it a more fair society to allow people of color and women to be a part of our system. Affirmative action did have quotas like in the 70s. Like in the 70s, that was companies did try, federal government, state governments tried to say like, oh, we want to hire 20% of Black people or 20% of women. Like, but that was it. You know what I'm saying? That's still like what, 80% would be white males. And so, but affirmative action was shot down. And I think it was a Supreme Court decision, um, Bukake or somebody in the university, they shut down affirmative action. So it's illegal. It's illegal to have quotas. That's what I found out. So that is just basically rhetoric to divide our nation.
It's illegal to have quotas in America?
Yes. Yeah, it's illegal. It's a Supreme Court law that you cannot have quotas. So there's no quotas. So if people are saying, "Oh, they're hiring or white men are not being hired," because I guess that's why Trump recently put out the executive orders to get rid of this law or, get rid of diversity, equity, inclusion, and like some of the other things that were within that. Because a lot of white men are saying that they aren't getting these opportunities or it's not fair and they're not getting these positions over people of color. And these people of color are just getting the positions because of their color, not based on merit. And that is totally illegal in America.
Yep,
That's not happening.
that's
And
not true.
huh?
That's not true.
What do you mean? You have to explain that. What do you mean?
Okay, I'm gonna bring up some things during this conversation where I don't have a specific, I'm not gonna name specific places because I don't want to name names, but I'm going to give examples. So if anybody's watching, just and you want to Google it, just take the example. I'll try to be as specific as possible for in the example. But if you want to research it, you can Google it or Chat GPT it. Take the incident, and I swear to you, it'll show up because that's how I got this information. Okay.
Okay.
During the cancel culture age, right, which was around the age, which was around 2020 during the pandemic, 2019, 2020, and beyond, that we're now coming on the cusp of just, teetering down from it, right? A lot of companies were getting canceled because they were listening or reading Twitter to where they were scared to be canceled. So what happened was certain companies, gaming companies, real estate companies, companies that owned you know, bigger, entities and IPs were saying, and they've been on panels saying that we're going to force our subsidies to hire purposely colored people, minority people, female sexual orientation. We're going to force them. And this became DEI. This became a kind of under the table thing so they don't get canceled, right? So that's how
Why
that
would they
happened.
be canceled? Why were they being canceled?
They were being canceled because people were saying things on Twitter and it was getting back to the company, and those companies were scared because they saw it happen to other companies.
But what are they scared about? That's what I don't understand. What
So
did
I'm not selling product. I'm not selling tickets. I'm not selling out shows. They're saying, you know what I mean? I could say it, you don't know what I mean.
No, I don't. Like,
Okay, there's okay
but what are they
specific
being canceled for? What are they being canceled for? That's
and
just
anything like if somebody got on Twitter and said Stacey ain't hiring enough Mexicans and I'm a Mexican and I'm complaining about it, and you're all over Twitter, you have like 1 million followers, blah blah
okay.
blah,
Mhm.
it'll get back to you because somebody in the company will be like, "Yo, they're all over Twitter, they're saying this," and for a second you'll be like, "Oh, whatever, it's just Twitter." But then like you see your revenues go down, and you're thinking, "Man, maybe this is from Twitter, not from anything else, not from bad marketing or somebody in your establishment not doing their job." No, you think it's going to be Twitter because it's all over the place, and now you see it on different YouTube channels, and it happens to get on the news or blah 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 that Stacey isn't hiring enough Mexicans. So now you're gonna start hiring Mexicans, and get on Twitter, and you start doing PR work about how equal you are, and you're gonna start you're gonna go in panic mode and start hiring out the wazoo because you don't want to get canceled. You want to keep your business going. So that's what was happening during this time. A lot of companies were getting hit, and also not sponsoring people who didn't follow their political views or any agenda that they had. It was this. This is me personally. I think this is derived from cancel culture because of because I was there from the beginning, and I just saw this just all envelope. Now we did have affirmative action, which is geared more towards uh, Black people, in my perspective. But of course, it helped, brown people, yellow people, women, stuff like that. But you can't deny that, like, there's an example of you can't deny that this the derived issue of DEI kind of got out of hand to where like companies were now not only hiring people who weren't qualified, but were just hiring just to hire because they fit a category. They were gay, they were women, they were brown, they were black, you
Okay,
know,
but all those people are in our society, so shouldn't they be hired?
not if they're not qualified for the job, no.
Okay, well that's fine, but like from what I've saw, that there's a lot of people that are applying for jobs, but they're not even getting those job opportunities.
Okay, I've never seen that. And
Well,
anecdotally
okay,
or
but
empirically, like I'm pretty sure it happens. But most of my friends are black, and all of them are employed. So I hear what you're saying, and you're not the only one who said that, but that is really not happening.
yes it is.
And if it is happening, and you see your people
Okay,
who
here we
you're
go.
around not getting hired, I also see that with a lot of young people, all races, all colors, all creeds, all religions, all sexual orientation. It's just not black people. We have to get out of that mentality, of that victim mentality, that we're not making it because all my brothers and sisters around me, which is a lot, are all doing well, about to retire, employed, have families. So if you're not getting hired, that most likely, to me, in my perspective, has nothing to do with race.
Right. And that's definitely possible for sure. Like there's, race isn't always a factor. I think maybe in these modern times, race not may not always be a factor, but if our country is founded on systematic racism, it's going to be a problem. Like they aren't hiring us.
Well, how long are we going to dwell on
Black
that?
people, I'm saying white people. I'm saying,
Uh,
oh, we're gonna dwell on it until it's rectified.
so if black people have a company and they just hire all black people, should we say, hey, you need to hire a brown person, an Asian person, and a white person, and maybe
They
a gay
should,
person?
if they want, I mean, based on diversity, they're saying that it is good to have
Right. We want to be equal, right? So let's not make it all black, all Asian, all
right,
right.
right. No, that's totally fine. Nobody's doing that because
No, people are doing that. They're doing that.
based on the stats for future or Fortune 500 CEOs, it's approximately 86% white and 94% male.
Is that because they're the only
Senior,
ones applying, or is that because the women and black people aren't applying? Because we just had a movie called Pursuit of Happiness, not just it was a while ago. Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith playing I forgot his name, but he's a black man who got hired by the stock and future 500 company. So I mean,
yes,
we have to
it could
we
be
have to
both
think
of them.
like
It
we
could be
have to
both
think
of them.
like if we apply anywhere we're qualified for.
Right.
Because we, from talking to
But
you, do you
but
think would you want to be hired because you light skinned and a female?
no.
Would that would that appease your morals?
No, but that's not what is happening. Like, let me just
That
let me just get this out real quick.
okay? Go ahead. Go
Like
ahead.
I said, the future Fortune 500 CEOs, 86% white. Senior corporate leadership, 80% white. Federal senior government executives, 72% white. That's like way more than three-quarters of all
I
these
like to,
positions that
I
are
like to see
white.
who in the hiring category who's going for interviews. Because if I see that circle of, let's say there's like 10 people, and I see nine black people, and maybe well, yeah, nine black people or colored people and one white person, and they hire without one white person, then I'll be kind of skeptical. But if I see that those 10 people and it's mixed and it's crazy, then you hire who's qualified, who's more qualified, who looks like
Right, but there's
who has the
also
credentials to do the job.
right, but there's also hiring bias. So people might see somebody's resume and it might say Muhammad Abdul or something,
Sure, yeah.
or it might say what's her name? Like I don't know, Shaniqua Williams,
I mean,
or
how many stories have we heard where the guy's on the phone and he's like, "Yeah, my name is Buford," and it's like, "Okay, yeah, calm down, Buford," and then they go to the interview, and everybody who's interviewing is white, and then like Buford comes in and he's like this tall black dude. And they're like, "Oh, I thought you sounded white on the phone," but
right,
Buford
so
does a
that's happening.
great job in the interview, and we'll give you a call if you see if you
Right.
fit.
Right. Well, what the whole issue why people are wanting DEI is because a lot of people, Black, Mexican, Asian, whatever, 86%. So there's 14%. If a company is 86% white, the leadership of a company is 86% white, that means only 14% is everything else, including
Why does that affect you though?
because
Why does a company that has
I'm a Black
more white
woman.
people in it, huh?
Because I'm a Black woman. So if I don't get the opportunity because I'm a Black woman, that is not proper. And I
But
know,
how will you ever know that unless they tell you in your face you didn't get this job because you're a black female?
but you can't do that. That's illegal. That's discriminating on, that's against the law. You can't discriminate based on race.
Why do we
But you can't
dwell
say that. So you can't say that.
right, but you can't say that they didn't either though. You can't say that they didn't hire you because you were black,
Right.
right?
But if your whole corporate culture is all white people, because that's also evidence showing that a lot of companies that are a dominant, whatever's dominant at that company, that's
Mhm.
what they hire. And that goes for everybody.
But why does that
If there's a
company
white
affect
company, if
you?
there's a black owned company, or if it's a
Yes,
Mexican owned company or an
right.
Asian owned company,
Mhm.
whatever the dominant race is, that's
Yeah.
they have hiring bias. They have
Even with Mexicans, like
bias.
they might, unless you speak Spanish, they might not hire you. Unless you look like them, they might not hire you because they're not going to feel comfortable. Is
Right.
that right?
No, it's not
Is
right, but
that
that's
right,
what
or
they
is
do.
that
That's the
just their
problem.
company?
That's why we want diversity, equity, and inclusion so that it's
But
open
if I'm
to
if I go
everyone. So
if
if
I go to a if I go to a company that's all Latino, right, and all they do is speak Spanish, and I go in there because I need a job, and they don't hire me, I can't get mad if they just want to keep it Spanish and brown,
well,
because
then people
that's
are gonna
because
Twitter.
that's
People are
that
gonna get on
person.
Twitter. People are gonna get on
Sure,
Twitter and say,
sure.
"Hey, I'm not. I don't. That don't go to that company because they don't
Yeah,
hire."
I would say I would get on Twitter X and be like, yo, don't fuck with Javier and company and bros because they don't hire black people. Even if you speak Spanish, if you ain't Latino, they ain't gonna hire you. I
Right.
mean that. Why? Okay, cool. I move on. Why dwell on that? That's their company. That's his or her company. Cool. Okay, sir. Sure. I'll tweet about the racism and then move on. Right? It shouldn't affect me.
But it's
We
not.
choose our battles, right? Like I chose that battle for 2 seconds. I
Okay,
tweeted
so
about it. I vented to Stacey. I said, Stacey, I went for this job, and these Latino brothers, they wouldn't hire me because I don't speak Spanish or I don't look like them. Okay, I get it. Okay, and you say, oh, that's fucked up. It's racist. Yeah, it's racist. Move on.
so what if every single company doesn't hire you because you're a black man?
Impossible.
It's
Impossible.
it wasn't impossible before the 60s. It
Yeah,
was,
but now let's focus on now, though. Let's focus on now.
but that's
Let's
why.
focus on how much black people have achieved so much right now. Let's do that.
But what's so much? What's the numbers
What
of
so
like
so
what?
much? We have a lot of rich black people, a lot of brothers and sisters in movies, making movies.
And there should be a lot
A
more.
lot of brothers
Be
making.
a lot more.
If
And if
if
you hear
you
about
if you apply yourself, you will achieve. There's not one black person I know who hasn't gone for what they wanted to do and haven't hasn't achieved it. Nobody will stand in your way. That is impossible. The only person who stands in your way
so you're
is you.
saying there's no racism in the workplace today.
No,
That's
no, that's
what you're saying.
that's no. Here, okay, I'll say this: racism is here to stay. Everyone
Okay,
is
so that's the
racist.
problem.
Everyone is prejudiced.
That's the problem.
Everyone is discriminatory. It's a
And
problem,
that's why we have to make laws. That's why we
but
have
it's
to
not
make
going to be get
laws.
fixed. It doesn't matter what laws you do. It's not going to
Right.
be fixed.
Right. That's why
It's
we need
not.
a DEI. That's why we need a DEI.
No,
Because people
DEI makes
don't
it
want it to
worse.
be fixed. People don't want it to be fixed because they're happy with keeping the power, keeping centralized power in whatever they are, whatever organization, whatever corporation, whatever government. They want that power. So if nobody is I mean, a lot of these institutions, our government and corporations have been established systematically by white upper class, middle class males. So they have created the system. So they hire who they want to hire. And there are companies out here. There are companies out here who understand that having a more diverse corporate culture, if it's more, you just do better. You're more
Right.
competitive. You know what's out in the world because if you look outside, there's all kinds of people. So if you only have one perspective of a white male's perspective, you're not going to be able to reach other cultures with that white male perspective. And
Agreed.
your business is going to suffer. So I mean,
But those Fortune 500 companies that you said that were predominantly white, are they suffering?
I mean, I don't know. They might be. They might be.
How then they're not Fortune 500 companies?
I mean, It just
They
depends on,
seem to be doing well.
yeah. No, they seem to be doing well. Well, then I mean, okay, that's if you're fine with them just having all white people, then that's fine, I
Yeah,
guess.
because they don't affect me. If I apply
It
for
does
one of
affect
those
you.
jobs, no,
It
it
does
doesn't.
affect
It
you.
doesn't.
If
I
you're
choose
in
I
a
choose my battles. I
corporation,
choose my battles, and that's something like doesn't
but do
affect
you
me.
want to be a CEO? Do you want to be a CEO? Does
Um,
everybody want to be a CEO?
of my company, yeah.
Okay, but you don't have a like I'm saying if you
Why
don't
would I want to be a CEO of another company if I didn't put any blood? I'm almost like 50 years old. I ain't got that's too late for me.
but if you don't that's what I'm saying. But
Why do I
there's
want to be a CEO of somebody else's company? It's not my company.
okay, but there's people in the world who want to be a CEO of
Yes.
companies,
So
you know,
you apply.
right? But if they don't allow you, if that's the glass ceiling. That's
If
like
you have the
in the
mentality,
company,
Stacey, why apply for anything?
huh?
If you have that mentality that a company is majority white people, majority whatever, why apply? You're already defeating yourself. Who cares? Apply. If you don't get the job, move on.
Because people want to get paid.
Okay,
People want to
move
make
on
money,
though.
and these
You
fortune
we're the
500
little people. We're the little people. We don't have time. We don't have lawyer money. We ain't got time for discrimination stuff like that. If they have if I feel in my heart that I didn't get hired because I'm light skinned Blasian and I feel horrible about it, I'm not going to file a discrimination suit because I don't have no proof of that. Nobody's emailed me and said, "Oh, you're too short, you're too light skinned, you're not black enough. We're not going to give you that job." So I move on.
right? But if every single company does not hire you,
That's not true,
that,
though, is it? That's not true, though, is it?
but I'm just saying you can't make a living. You couldn't make a
You
living.
can because you can get a job. Everybody in America can get a job as
Yes,
long
but
as you
the
have an
problem is
address.
they're not allowing people of color or women or able or old, too old
Mhm.
to move up. There, that's just like
That's situational, and that's also not true.
no, but that's mostly majority. That's why that's the
That's
problem.
not, but that's not mostly.
It is mostly
No, it's not.
if that's what the stats are showing, if the stats are showing
That's cool with the stats, but also where are they getting the stats from? Blah blah blah. Okay, cool. I understand stats.
the source is
No, no,
from
no, not that. I don't. Yeah, I get it. I'm
CEO
talking about
Catalyst
like
and the
legitly.
US Office of
Yeah.
Personnel Management.
Okay. I'm not doubting the stats. I'm. What I'm.
Well,
I'm.
that's so
What
some
I'm.
people who care and don't want to just move on and want
Yeah.
to change the system, because
Yeah.
that's what this is all about. It's
Right.
about keeping America white male or progressing it and making it look like everybody that's here who's trying
Right. You
to
know
like
how you
be
do that.
ambitious.
You know how you move. You know how you progress. You keep moving. You keep going. If they turn you down, say "f you," keep it pushing, or say thank you and keep it pushing.
Yes, and
Right.
that's what people
Choose
do.
your battles.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's what
So
people
if you did get with a company and you know it's all white, if you go to a company and you know it's all brown and they speak in Spanish, and you don't know if you'll get this job, at least you tried, right? You keep moving. Let's not dwell on the past.
but there's
Let's not
also
dwell on
people
the racism because that's not going anywhere.
but there's also people who believe that they want to change something that's failing in society or something that isn't equal and fair and people want to change that.
Life's not fair.
People want to do that fight.
Yeah, that's fine, but
So they're going to fight for the
it's
next
a
and so they don't have to suffer from
it's an
that.
unwinnable fight.
Not really, because
Yeah, yeah, really, it is
no, because
because you can't
we didn't
change.
have the civil
I
rights
can't
movement.
change everybody's mind.
Before women couldn't vote, they didn't have the civil rights movement. Progress. We got that. We got the equal employment
Was
opportunity.
that progress though?
I mean, I could vote, I could buy a house, I could get a credit card. Yes, that's progress. So like that's what I'm trying to tell you. Like
That's
this is
more
we're
philosophical than
fighting for a
anything.
bare minimum. We're fighting for a bare minimum.
Now,
Well,
like now,
women just were able to use or buy a home or get a
yeah.
mortgage or get a
But
credit card
now you can, and now you're
78
thriving more than ever.
in
Right?
1978.
Women go to college more than guys. They're graduating more than men. They're buying more houses than men. They're getting better jobs than men. I mean, not better jobs, but higher paying jobs than men. So what are we complaining about now?
No, there's still a gap.
What's the gap?
There's still a wage gap.
What's
Like,
the wage gap?
I don't know what it is technically. I don't know the details on that, but anybody who wants to find that out can find that.
Does that have to do with pregnancy, women not asking for hours, women not doing working more hours, women
It could be all that.
deciding that they don't want to work, they want to create families after working at a
Yeah,
job for 5, 10 years.
it could be
The
that.
gap is there for a reason. It's not because of she's a woman, it's because of her actions.
But not all women are having children and having families. So
Right.
why are they
And
discriminating?
those women are thriving, actually. Those women are telling me what to do. And women who have families are telling me what to do. So there is no problem with wage gap unless it's that woman individually, and women are thriving. You
But
guys are killing it.
I'm just saying, like most, it's like,
It's not most.
majority.
I don't believe that. Every woman around me, including you, are thriving. And you guys are black. And you guys inspire me. Like I'm like, why am I sitting being lazy
Yeah,
and
but this is
Stacey's
also
working?
California.
All my friends are working.
We're pretty diverse. Like a lot of that has to do with, like, a lot of these laws are, federal laws. And that's why they're trying to get rid of a lot of these laws and leaving it up to the states. And we live in California. But if I were to live in Alabama or Mississippi or Texas or any of these other states, they may not be, the Black women there may not be having the same opportunities as some of us in, the more progressive states that are allowing, because, state laws, there's a lot of state laws that are different. And that's why it's good to have federal laws, because it puts a blanket solution onto everything that's happening. So it's not just pieced up by the states, but that's kind of where we're headed, because they're getting rid of all of these federal laws, because DEI, like, and affirmative action, that was all for, like, at first was like for the federal government, and it didn't target like private businesses or private companies. They pretty much could do whatever they want unless their state had specific laws to um to counter whatever or help them. Here in California is different than red states, or progressive states are different than what could be happening in red states. So you don't live there, so you don't know. We don't know what their example is. And that's the thing. A lot of people just, based on their situation, oh, my situation is good, so nobody else is suffering. Like, really? Like that? We can't think like that.
But I
And that's
have
the
family
problem
in
in
red states
workplace.
and they're doing fine.
Okay, that's still your family. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe your family was afforded a better opportunity than another Black family or Asian family in another area. Like, we're not
Or it just means that they worked hard and they applied themselves. We can't save every black person if they're not applying themselves. We
but
can't say, oh, they're not getting, I'm not finding work. Are you going out and looking for it?
right.
Are you educated enough do you qualify for that job?
Right. There's a lot of people in all races that don't apply themselves, and there are a lot of people of all races who do apply themselves, and they still are not getting the same opportunities as white males in our society.
That's
And
not true.
it is true.
That's
It
not
is true.
true.
The stats say it. I mean, you could keep saying that, but that's people, anybody.
And you can keep saying the stats, and I believe you. I'm not saying you're lying.
Anybody could look it up, and they will see that this is very much true. And this is why we have an issue, because a lot of people are like gaslighting and being delusional, because this is like really happening. This is happening in our country.
Right, but the
That's why
same black.
that's why we're trying to establish and progress and do more. And that's what the whole DEI is all about, to bring more people to the table. Like, once you get hired, then it's, about allowing you to go up the ladder. It's allowing you, based on merits, because you're
And
not
qualifications.
right for
Yes.
everyone, for everyone.
Yes, not just
For
because you're
everyone.
white or black or religious or gay or a female.
Right, but it's a problem.
But
In the
sometimes,
workforce it might not be, you probably don't see it at your job because you work in, I don't, I'm like putting your business out there. I know, you know what I mean? So it's like people who work at different organizations, they probably have laws in place so that they're not, they don't have to deal with a lot of the stuff that people are dealing with in corporate America. Like you hear people all the time talk about the microaggressions in corporate America and the different biases in corporate America. And it's just not,
That's always going to be there, though.
it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to
You
be.
can't change people.
No, that's why they tried to have DEI because it helps to influence corporate culture. But you're right. If people want to keep it white male, they're not going to let people in. And that's
Even nepotism. If I want to hire my cousin and he don't qualify, but that's my cousin, I want to keep him around me, I'm going to hire my cousin. It's my business.
right. And that's not ethical. I mean, it is. It's what's happening. It's what's happening in America. And
But
there's
you can't prove that. You can't prove it.
everybody knows what nepotism is. Like, you really think Trump's sons are the most qualified people in America? No, that's nepotism. Like it's
And how do
happening.
we know we didn't he didn't go get
There's
educated?
legendary, and even with universities, there's legend. What is it?
He has the resources to go to school. He has the resources. He's learning on the job. He has money to pay people to teach him how to do things. He has the money to have people around him tell him how to do things. So he qualified, right? If my cousin has a job, if I give him a job for something he's never done before, but I want him around so he can stay out of trouble, he's going to learn on the job, right? He's qualified because he knows how to learn. He's graduated from high school, graduated from college. He has that much. I mean, you could be my employee and be like, "Oh, that's not fair," because I want somebody more qualified, and I would agree with you, but it's my company, and I could do what I want.
Yes, you can do what you want in your private company, but if you work for the government or if you work for a state government, you have to abide by the laws and you have to be more equitable and more
Sure,
fair and more
yeah.
diverse. But
If you can prove it, if you can prove
oh, they have cases.
even in private, I was about to say that because I went to I was in I got called into jury duty for one of those cases where it is a discrimination against a woman, and so I didn't get picked, but because I complained. But anyway, so it's like I understand you can go, you choose your battles. It's like I said before, and that woman chose to try to get some kind of justice for her because she felt like she was discriminated against
Right.
because of her sex. So, I mean, yeah, you could. This is what I'm
They
saying.
have people,
I'm for the fight. I understand the fight, but we can't let that affect us from moving on and progressing.
and
You
we
know what
have,
I'm saying?
I mean, people have, they do keep going, but there are people who get discriminated against, and for some reason they go to take it to court and they have evidence. So, and they win. And then, laws get enacted and Congress legislates things to protect people, or the Supreme Court rules on these different things. So, I mean, it's working. It might not feel good, but some people do want to stand and fight and not just, you know, be defeated, I guess. And a lot of these people that are yelling, oh, reverse racism, and white men are being replaced and being discriminated against. Like it was like less than 3% of the cases that are brought have like no evidence of that. Like that's just all being politicized. Like a lot of this is being politicized because it keeps people with political power, saying, oh, minorities are stealing your job, or marginalized people are stealing your jobs, and it's not happening. Like it's being weaponized, and that's just what I think I want people to take away
But
from this.
where's the proof of that?
It's in court cases. There's stats out there. I don't have
There's
it.
more stats of that.
Yeah, I don't have it personally, but it's all documented from research. Like people have been looking into this for decades upon decades, and it's, they're trying to correct what's happening in America. But it's a fight. It's a long fight. And with Trump in office and his executive orders rescinding all of these DEI initiatives, it makes you take a couple steps back. But I think personally, DEI, like what I found from all this research is that DEI is just common sense to make the workplace work smoother, better. People learn how to work with each other because even though they have differences, they could still communicate those differences to upper management and be heard and be listened to. But a lot of people don't want that. A lot of people don't want to have to be kind to women or not, discriminate against women in the office, or they love that culture of where they could discriminate against women back in the old days, slapping girls on the butt and whatever.
Yeah, I
Like
missed that.
a lot of people are upset about that, So the Me Too movement, like a lot of those different movements, I think affected people. But anyways, DI was just helpful. It was helpful to make the work culture diverse, inclusive, and equitable.
I think it was
And then
unnecessary because it was already doing that. What are you gonna say?
no, I don't, but that's why they implemented it. I mean, they didn't, some parts they didn't, I will say it was like symbolism or they didn't implement it properly. And there's a lot of research on that as well. How, there's a right way and a wrong way to implement DEI in a work environment.
So
And
so the military and the fire department and uh construction and company and fields like that um require strength. Oh, the police academy. When they lower the qualifications so they could hire more women, is
but
that fair?
that's not what they're doing. Like, where are you getting that? Like, that's crazy to me because they're not lowering the standards. Everything I've
The
read,
fire department's not didn't lower the training.
I mean, I think women have to compete at a certain level. I mean, they have to be able to maybe lift 200 pounds or I don't know, like look it up. Like I'll take,
I did.
okay, so
That's what I'm telling you. I'm asking you.
what are you telling me?
I'm asking. No, I'm asking you. Is that fair?
I mean, if they could, why wouldn't it be fair? If they could hold a water hose and they have the courage to run into a burning house, I think they should be allowed to do that.
If they can't, but if they can't pull out their fellow firemen, if they can't, they don't have the prowess to.
Well, that's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. They've lowered the standards for women.
Yes, that's what they are saying. Yes,
Okay.
the departments, the police, to have more women in the field, they are lowering the
I don't know
qualifications.
about having more women in the field because, like I said, that's not a quota is not a real thing. Like they might have a goal. That's what they're saying. They have a goal to hire more of a demographic, but they do not, they don't, it's illegal to have say, I'm going to hire 10 women for this position and not hire, you know, men.
Sorry,
It's fine.
that was meant to come out.
Right. So like that's illegal. Like that went away with affirmative action. Like California doesn't even have affirmative action. So like what is the conservative party and the Republicans and all the talking heads, what are they even talking about? Because first of all, there is no widespread reverse racism. There is no
There is no such thing as reverse racism.
right. That in itself, that statement within itself is crazy. So, but these are all talking points that they've been using, and it's just to politicize our society and divide our society. And they always are so quick to say, "Oh, it's a race card, or this is you guys always use the race card and race baiting and da da da." but from what I see, it's a lot of that on the conservative side.
Jasmine Crockett doesn't do that.
What?
Use race and fear mongering
It's not.
against the conservatives and the right.
But if it's a real injustice, then that's not race baiting or a race card. That's like a systematic injustice that's has a patterns to show that this is happening in our society. But if it's like, no clear-cut evidence of it actually being a race issue and it's just like a one-off anecdotal situation, then that's definitely race baiting. And yeah, Democrats, they do it as well. But most of the time, Democrats have patterns and stats and facts of, systemic racism, like
That's
police
not
brutality.
true.
It's
Well,
very true. It's absolutely true.
so
But police
if
brutality
you
is
bring
not a
up,
real thing.
yeah, police brutality is a real thing for everybody, not just black people.
Right. And I don't think she's saying, well, if she is saying, oh, it's just happening, well, it happens to Black people more or people of color more than any other race or more than white
Is
folks.
it that, or is it more that black people are acting up more instead of abiding by the rules and the laws and what they say?
I don't
Because
know.
I see more
But
I see
that's,
a
is
lot,
that
I
your
see police
media?
brutality for everybody, but I see more black people acting up and not listening.
Is that because the media is putting that narrative out? Is that because your algorithm feeds that to you? Like,
No, I'm seeing the same things you see.
but I don't see that on my timeline. I don't get anything like that in my timelines. So it's like you have to kind of factor in, like, is this media narrative? Is this just what I'm being fed? Is this really happening to everybody? Or is this maybe
Yeah, if I see
like,
everybody, that's what I'm saying. If
but
I
okay,
see all races get fucked with, Mexicans, white people, and they're not listening to
I
the
don't really see
police,
too much white police brutality like on videos. If you don't see the
I
George.
see more black people, but I see equal amount when it comes to any other race who acts up. They get it too, and of course the police, they get in trouble, they get fired or put on suspension and blah 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 blah.
But
But
it's statistical and factual that there's more things that target, like, stop and frisk, racial profiling, like all these things have
is
happened.
that in the community, in the black community, right? It's not like,
It's in all the people of color community that is happening to, but definitely Black people because they fear
is it
us.
more? Isn't it more higher in the black uh, community if you're in a black community? So if I'm in a white community in the South, I'm probably gonna be arresting more white people, right? Because I'm in a white
But we're
area.
talking about what we see like in the media. Like that's what I'm talking about. And a lot
So
of people,
so maybe you're just seeing just black shit then, because that's your algorithm. Is that what you're trying to say?
I mean, if we're looking at I mean, do you know of any cases like a George Floyd, like a Trayvon Martin, like a Tamir Rice, like a Philando Castile, like the baby girl, Breonna Taylor? Like, do you have any situations where you know of cops doing that to,
But isn't that more about how the
like,
news wants
where
to
is that?
fearmonger as well and pinpoint that?
Or is it just not happening?
Or maybe it's just not on your algorithm, like you said.
No, but then why are those in our whole, like the whole world knows about those?
Because maybe that's a narrative that the news wants us to take put in the forefront because it's news. Nobody cares if it's white on white, right? They love injustice, especially after the George Floyd situation and the riots, and the news feeds on racism and prejudice and anything that's unfair, right? So of course they're gonna anything that has to do with black people and black people acting up, not and not every black situation is being put on full scale as far as every news channel, right? Because I'm on Twitter all the time and I see all kinds of black people getting fucked with. I see all kinds of brown and white people getting fucked with, but that's not on the news. So why is the news putting that in the forefront? Why do you remember those names? Why are they making movies about, you know,
well, then why are they telling us this?
Oscar,
Then why do you think they're telling us this? Like, why would I want to know that? Like, what
yeah,
does
why would you want to
I
know?
do? No, I'm asked, like, I really don't know. Why would they just show those things and not of, I've just
Because it makes
never,
them money. It makes the news money, right? More people watching, more
I will
advertisement.
agree that it probably does, because I saw somebody say this, that um it does, like, it engages people more.
Yeah.
Sure. Like it knows how
The
to,
lie is better than the truth. The lie makes more
but
money than the truth.
it's
The
not
lie
a,
is more entertaining than the truth.
yeah, that's true. But in this case, I mean, I just have not seen, like, I don't know. I'm not asking you to answer it so much, but maybe somebody could leave it in the comments. Like, why, if police are killing white men just as much as they're killing black men, why isn't that on the news? Like, you know what I mean? Like, all I see is them getting, arrested, put in handcuffs, taking the, what was it, Burger King or McDonald's or whatever, giving them Happy Meals, and they go and
That's
sit.
one incident.
Or I'm just saying, it's happened. It happens. There's more people, more white men
That
taken
happens, not
alive.
it happens.
There's more white men that are taken alive than killed on the spot. And black men, I mean, they do, what is it, conform, or they don't just all resist arrest. Like, a lot of those people did not resist arrest. They did conform, and they still were killed. So I don't know. I don't really have the answer for that.
I
But
don't have the answers either way, but I'm not saying that there isn't injustice or racist cops. There's racism everywhere in every field. There's
right.
racism in the fire department. Everybody has some degree of racism, discrimination, prejudice. But when it comes to that and cops, we have to understand what they're going through, and you as a citizen has to realize that they are above you, and you have to listen so you don't trigger them to do crazy shit, or your life might be at stake.
Or maybe, like, police departments should actually look at complaints, and the cops that have repeated behavioral patterns, they should get rid of them instead of allowing them to continue to work.
And there also should be retraining, and there should be mental, what's the word, psychological
Evaluation.
evaluations.
Yeah.
I think police should have free therapy and free medical.
Yeah, no, I think they should get everything that they want. Like,
Yeah.
they protect and serve and deal with a bunch of crazy folks out here. But
But defunding police is not the answer.
and
That's
nobody's defunded the police. That's
and
all
that's not and that's because that's dumb.
right. It hasn't
But
happened. There's nowhere in America have they defunded any police office.
well, they did take money away from the New York police, and now it's hard for them to hire new police because the crime there is ridiculous. I don't know if you've seen that, but New York is like crazy.
Well, I mean, if the mayor is also doing illegal stuff, I mean, it all comes from the top down. Why would their citizens act proper if they see authority figures not acting proper? Um,
They
so
wilder than us over here.
yeah, but I don't know. I think we're all just kind of getting, like, a piece or a perspective, a small piece of the full story. So, and then you and I are pretty much informed. Like, we try to get, views from all sides, but a lot of people don't. So they're making a lot of their stereotypes, a lot of their bias based on a small picture of what's actually happening in the world. And like that's the problem. This is what's so divisive, is like, when people, say a black person does rob somebody or shoot somebody or murder somebody, then the whole race is looked at like we're robbers and killers, and that's a problem in America collectively. Even like if we see like if I see, I hear about white men or serial killers and mass murderers, like if I see a white man walking down the street at night looking kind of crazy, like I get scared, I think, oh man, he might chop me up. So it's like we have to collectively as people have to, not judge a whole race on a few characters.
Yeah, because that of course, because white people as serial killers, that's a stereotype, right? Because obviously there's
And mass
famous
shooters.
black people who are serial killers. There's that father and son duo that were shooting people, sniping people up. So that's not true, but predominantly it's
Yes, and
more
that's what
white
people
white
do.
people.
Right. So that's what everybody does. So
Right.
it doesn't mean it's not real or there's not a black serial killer. Like there is a black serial killer for sure. But majority,
Murders, plural.
yeah, majority is there. I mean, it is white men. You don't hear about women like serial killers or stuff like that. So it's I think a lot of these things, stereotypes, there is some truth to a lot of stereotypes, but
Right,
we
that's why it's there. Yeah.
but we as people have to stop judging entire races on, one incident. But and that's, but with like in corporate culture, I think majority of the people that are in corporate culture are dealing with a lot of like people treating them, arrogantly or just not understanding or saying like little, racist jokes, at the water cooler and they may not even know it. Like, because I think, there's white folks aren't a monolith. Like and black people aren't a monolith. Like there's a spectrum and there's, along that spectrum is, super racist people and people who aren't racist at all. And there's like variations in between of, those type of people. So, um,
It's inescapable. It's just it's going to happen. There's stereotypes everywhere. There's little in idiosyncrasisms. I don't know what I'm trying to say about every culture, and it's just people are going to feed on that, and it's going to happen. Like I said, I always like that. You choose your battles. If you're at the water cooler and you hear Tom talking about Asian people, he's going, cheeky, 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 like
right,
report him or leave him alone. And that's some, don't you, obviously you don't want to associate with Tom. I'm in, corporate America and I hear all kinds of stuff and I know the person who's saying it is just trying to be funny. So I know he's
but
lighthearted.
just
It doesn't affect me. So I know he's cool, but I've been around other people who said some crazy shit. And I was like, I'm cool with that guy. Like
But a
I'm not
lot
gonna
of
fuck with him.
people try to blow things off as, oh, I'm just joking. No, you're probably not just joking. You really feel that way.
Yeah, and if you feel offended, you have the right to report that guy,
Right. And so
But I'm
that's
not
why,
for me, it doesn't affect me. Like I'm like, okay, cool. I just know I can't fuck with you. Like I'm not gonna fuck with you.
right.
I choose my battles.
But that's why DEI is so important in corporate America
I
because
think I think it's destroying the fabric of America.
no, it's not. It's helping people
I
talk,
think I think we
helping
already are diverse
people
naturally.
say it again.
I think we're already diversifying naturally. The more we expose each other and talk to each other, I live in LA. It's very diverse, but there's also like, groups culturally here or there, especially,
Right.
in Glendale, there's like Albanians all over the place who,
Right.
and then
Society
there's
is
East LA where
segregated.
people would,
Society is segregated. Like it's not, I don't
but
know.
we all come here to at this job
Right. But
and
we
we
don't,
all get exposed to each other.
but
So now
that
I have a work grandfather and grandmother coworker who are Albanian. You know what I mean? Now I have an Indian mother who always asks me, "Is my stomach okay?" You know, now I have black mothers who are asking me, is my food okay? You know what I mean? Like we all come together and get exposed to each other, and now all these cultures are going to Starbucks, eating with each other, and talking about all kinds of stuff, their kids and politics.
Yeah, because you live in California. And it's good. Like that's that's the idea. That's what we all want in America.
Okay, let's
But
take your example though. If
hold
we
on.
go to the South and you go into an area that's all white and all they see from black people is what they see on TV, can you blame them for not being stereotypical against black people?
Yes, because
Why?
that's why diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workplace would help them to understand and get to know their coworkers better, and so they don't stereotype them.
How are we going to implement DEI in a all white area, majority white area, um, that all the jobs are majority white, the area is white, the neighborhood's white, and there's only like a few black people sprinkled. How's that going to affect the black people there with the DEI policy? How's
Um,
that work?
I mean,
Do they just not hire black people? Do they, how does DEI stop them from being racist?
it doesn't stop them from being racist, but it makes them be more inclusive. It makes them want to get to know or want to know what it helps them self-reflect to maybe say, oh, if I wasn't this way, or maybe if I communicated it differently, or I understand their culture a little bit better, I would have more understanding and we would be able to work together.
But what happens in the hiring pool? Uh, no DEI, and it's a data center, and there's five people there, and only one is black. The four white people, women and men, didn't qualify, but the black person did, and I'm white, and I hire the black dude because he's more qualified naturally off of merit because he's more
Everybody,
qualified than those white
everybody
people.
that's hired
Did I need DEI for that?
Everybody that's hired is off of merit. Everybody that's hired is off of merit. It's
So what
illegal
do we need DEI for?
because DEI has nothing to do with merit. DEI is about making, this is what people don't understand.
So DEI is a philosophy.
It's definitely a philosophy. It's like a training. It's a here, I'll actually tell you exactly what it is. DEI, it's supposed diversity is who's at the table. It allows to recruit from broader schools, backgrounds, and community. Equity is fair treatment, access, and advancement. Fair pay, and promotions and projects. You get to basically get on different projects. And you're like, and the inclusive part is you're included. Because I guess a lot of these people may go on, like in corporate culture, they might go golfing, but they only allow like, certain leaders to go. And they don't open it up for everybody to go and do those kind of things. Um, so
But
they say
why? So they should do that
they should open it up to everybody. So they'll have like mentorship programs. Like that's how
to
uh,
anybody who didn't earn it.
everybody at your job should have earned it if you were hired. Like
If
here,
you have poor work performance,
then you would
you've
be fired.
earned that.
Then you would be fired. But if you're hired and you're at the job, you don't have poor work performance unless your evaluation
That's
is
not true.
poor. As less as long, like I said, if you aren't working, then of course you're going to be fired. But if you're doing the work, then you should advance up the ladder. But that's what they're saying. They're not allowing people into these, circles and these pools, and they're not being trained properly.
What's circles?
like, like the in crowd, like you're in the loop, like about the promotion that's coming up if you're in the in crowd, like, as an internal
But
hire.
that's just like office politics, though. That's more office
Right.
politics,
And
no?
that's how DEI addresses a lot of that stuff. That's what DEI is. DEI is nothing about hiring quotas. It's about making everybody that's at the table, helping them to progress and to grow vertically in the company.
But what if they don't deserve to
Then
move
they
up because
wouldn't
they're
they wouldn't have that opportunity. Then you would fire
right?
then you would fire them.
Well, maybe not fire them. You'd keep them in that position because they do that position well. But because of their work performance, you don't think they would strive on to another level because they haven't earned it.
Right. Well, I'm sure there's people who are at corporations that have not earned the opportunity or haven't earned to be in leadership. This is
Yeah,
people who are striving for that. They're not being afforded the opportunities to even get those interviews. That's what I'm saying. That's what DEI is about.
I
And
think it's deeper than that. I would love to talk to anybody who's in that position, who thinks that they haven't progressed, but they are qualified and educated enough to progress.
Mhm. So like DEI training, bad DEI training would be like guilt tripping people, lecturing them, labeling people by group identity, focusing on what you're doing wrong. It's a one-time event. They say good DEI training is skill building, fair feedback, lead, across
That
culture.
just sounds like more like management skills. Like,
That's exactly what it
are
is.
you like a proper
Yes.
are you proper manager? It has
And
nothing to do with like race or anything. It has more to do with
that's
just
what
merit.
exactly DEI is about, like growing your workforce to be able to work well together, and then they all like grow together within the company. That's what DEI is all about. It's not about quotas and hiring people. That's not that. Um, but they do say DEI success, like companies innovate faster, workplaces become healthier, more fair, more
But companies already had stuff. I mean, it wasn't called DEI, but they
right.
already had stuff like that. Like you said, it's
DEI's
illegal.
been here forever. It's been, well, not forever, but it's been here
I mean,
since
as it wasn't
90s.
called DEI. Maybe that's a more like a industry plant to get each side riled up. But so that this idea of diversity has been around forever.
Right. Well, not forever. It's what the progress in America is supposed to look
Or
like.
not forever. I mean, but yeah.
Okay, so here DEI is supposed to address these problems: lack of belonging, glass ceilings, bias in promotions or performance evaluations, microaggressions, tokenisms, pay gaps, and cultural misunderstandings.
Which
Like,
is there anyway.
it's not enough to just hire diverse people. These people have to feel respected, valued, and given equal opportunity to succeed. Like that's what DEI is about. And I guess
It sounds like more like if you're not happy there because as an employee because you feel like you're not appreciated, then you have the right to bitch and complain about it and maybe take them to court for a job not being nice to me or not understanding me or my culture. Is that
yeah, if you're being discriminated against on race, gender, creed, religion, sex, age, ableism,
and
then
if I could
and you
prove that,
can, yeah, and you could prove that you could sue based on the
which has been going on
employment.
for decades. So
Well, that's because that's why I'm saying DEI is just kind of like another extension to make the workplace culture more inclusive or
diverse and equal in that in including. include. It's
Yeah.
just like going
People
through
feels
every job has like the sexual harassment thing, and then you have the, don't fight thing, and no workplace violence, no discriminatory, no racist slurs, blah blah blah, no making other people feel uncomfortable. I mean, at every company I've been with. That's always been there.
yeah, since like the 90s, it's
Yeah,
definitely been there. And then
80s.
yeah, the diversity, it's beneficial because companies in the top uh, quartile for racial and ethnic diversity are 35% more likely to outperform competitors financially. Employees who feel included uh, work 3.5 times more likely to engage in work. Women of color.
That's just morality, though. That's
Right, that's what DEI is. That's what it's all about. And that's why I'm like, what the heck are they even talking about quotas? Like that was with affirmative action, but that is illegal now. That's been illegal. So it's really just all this is just being politicized so that the conservative party has power and gets, I guess, like white men upset and, telling them, hey, you're being discriminated against when they hold most of the corporate jobs. So, um, yeah, like it was really interesting, like everything that I found out um about our society. But it really, like I said, it really just comes down to people who want to keep power in the founding dominant group of America who founded our government and founded our corporations are white men, rich, wealthy white men, which is in power now. And or it's you're trying to progress and include women and choose people of color and include gay people and all that stuff. And I think some people in society aren't ready for that. And that's why this current administration is pulling back on all of this progress. And that's why the Conservative Party, or some people in the Conservative Party, because the Conservative Party is made up of so many different types of factions, but some people are very happy with the all the pullbacks that's returning us back to traditional conservative that the elite founding fathers wanted. So, and that's just what it is. Like there's nothing more to it.
Yeah. I don't see that. I hear what you're saying, but I don't see that. I see us naturally progressing. I see uh I see actually more white people um going for America and the people, and more less of the left and Democrats fighting for the people and just using anything they can do to go against whatever the right is saying. I don't It's like there's no middle ground. Both sides are just throwing out propaganda, and it's like never going to end if both sides are just going to be extremists.
Well, that's the problem too. The media, I feel like highlights the far left and the far right. And so I think majority of America are like moderate center left or center right. And that I think those people aren't being heard because it's not that exciting. But so yeah, so like the narratives are the extremes right now. And we kind of need that to get back to the middle because like things are just really ridiculous. And I wouldn't be so opposed to some of the things actually, yeah, I would the conservative party for me right now or the Trump being in leadership and a lot of his cabinet members being incompetent and being white nationalists, being Christian nationalists, and just, basically some people are even like neo-Nazis and white supremacy. Like, I kind of have a problem with those types of people being an authority because I can't trust that they are making the right decisions for women, people of color. And I can't support that. I can't get behind people who are trying to get rid of progress in America. Like it's really a fight for the soul of America. Like, the Biden was talking about that and Trump's talking about the soul of America. What they're actually talking about is conservative versus progress. Conservatism versus progress in America. And
I disagree with that. I
a lot of
think Trump is
people want traditional lives. A lot of people want
no,
women.
that's not true.
Yes, they want women to go back home. JD Vance has said this. They're paying women $5,000 or $6,000 to have more children and to be in the house.
Because we need children because we're not multiplying.
So who's going to take care of them? We're supposed to work and take care of the family and
Or
like
you be a traditional family and the guy works and the mom stays home.
that proves my point. That's what they want. They want women to be
I
in.
think that's what a good majority of women want too.
I mean, yeah, I would be totally fine with that.
So what's the problem?
I mean, it's not possible because I mean, I myself am still single, not married. There's a lot of women I know who are single, not married. There are people who were married who are now divorced. Like it's just that whole traditional family is not happening for whatever reason. They're saying men, Scott Galloway, he always talking about how men right now are lonely, isolated, not as ambitious. They've like kind of given up. And so it's like, how are we going to be led if men aren't in a great place right now?
I mean, we don't have to be far traditional, but like most of the families I know, both parties are working
Right. So you can't
and thriving. So I mean, it works.
And you can't afford having like back in the day, like in the boomer age, like there was the baby boomers, like that generation, the parents were having at maybe like 8 kids. Now the most you might get is three, like or two, or maybe one, but it's not even affordable to have a family. So if you guys want people to have traditional families, then they have to do something with the cost of living.
And
Like
that's one thing, but again, I, yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you said.
you crazy. But no, but like, so that's, I mean, okay, so how do we find common ground on this? Did we find in the show, did we find any common ground on, you know, DEI, I guess?
Does it matter?
I don't know. I just think people, no, I mean, it does matter because that's what we want to try to do is to bring,
We don't have to come
I
in.
mean, I want to try to get people to understand all sides and that's like what DEI is like understanding the full picture so we could all work together. And like because like white folks, there's really cool white folks out here. Like I don't think all white people are racist, and I think they need to know that. But there are people who think all white people are racist based on the media or
Yeah,
based.
and there's a lot of white people who aren't finding jobs and who are just as destitute and on welfare just as much as black people or brown people. And the young people period are graduating and not being able to find jobs. I know um, a lot of black families whose kids are still in the house and they're 30 years old. A lot of white kids, a lot of especially Asians. I mean, that's
Yeah,
some of that's cultural, but
which is
I
good.
see
Yeah,
a lot of more black and white people are leaving the college and coming back home and staying home. Some are going to college, and when they go to college, they're still in the house.
yeah, because that debt from college is
The
crazy.
debt and the rent is crazy, you know what I'm
So that's
saying?
what I'm
And
saying.
they're
Like it's
finding jobs. It's not so well, what I'm saying is it's not a black or white thing, it's a per people thing.
There we go. I think we found the common ground. Like all these things are affecting us, and we need to stop allowing these political parties to divide us. Like we really need to look into like why this is happening. What can we do to fix it? How can I reflect and look and make sure I'm not offending somebody or maybe not being offended by other people and their actions and what they may be saying. Like, because everything isn't, okay, let me think if I want to say this. Everything isn't about race, but race is at the heart of our country.
Only if you make it that way. And we're all and that's what's dividing us is people who are making it that way. So
But
yeah.
if that's what you're perceiving and that's what you're feeling and that's what is happening, like
But do
based
you
on
know what's happening
pattern,
though? Or
based on
are you discriminating against that white person because you think just because they're white they're not hiring you? Is that possible?
yeah, that's possible, but there are
Okay.
white people in these positions that aren't hiring Black people, women, people of color.
Yeah,
It's both. It's both.
okay.
It's not,
Okay.
I won't say,
Okay.
I think it's both. I think
All right.
it could be either or. Like I
Yeah.
said, everything isn't just about race. It's not, and that's why we have to reflect and take a step back and not get easily offended and look at the evidence, look at the details, and not just, you know, go crazy on this one incident. But when majority of the CEOs at corporations are this or that, or whatever the dominant culture is,
Mm-hmm.
it should have diversity. And then maybe not on a moral basis. Maybe they don't want it on a moral basis. But if companies want to be successful,
Mm-hmm.
they should diversify.
And
Proof is in
black
the
people
pudding.
and black people, Asian, whatever, if apply to every job and don't worry about it, your color or the whole panel who's interviewing you is white or Asian or Mexican, apply to every job that you qualify for or don't qualify for. They might need somebody at entry level. But just because you don't get the job and the panel's white doesn't mean you didn't get the job because you're black.
No, I see what you're saying. I agree with that. But they like you can't just say, oh, they're not because they're Black. I mean, like that's possible,
It's possible
it's also possible that you may not be
you
qualified.
or they found somebody better
Yeah.
who probably could be another
And
black dude or
right.
woman.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I think that's also why they kind of want to get rid of DEI because if we do keep things on merit based, I think they're going to be surprised at the results. So I say
But we do
let's
that
do
anyway.
away with meritocracy, you know?
No, let's do away with DEI and just keep it natural and progressive.
Yeah, but see, when like that was my thing. If white supremacists are in charge, things aren't going to progress. You can't really trust them to
How
hire
do you know who's a
to
white
hire fairly.
supremacist?
Well, I'm just saying like our leadership in federal government right now, they are. And there's patterns and there's history and there's evidence. I'm not just saying that. Like there's people who are professed white nationalists, Christian nationalists, like they say it with their lips and their mouth. So that's all I'm saying. Like
Like who? Who said that?
Charlie Kirk, Steve Miller, Steve Bannon, and so
But
a lot
they're not in like
they're in
leader
this cabinet.
positions.
Yes, they are. They're in this cabinet.
Charlie Kirk?
Oh, well, he's the talking head. He's just a talking head, but he's one of the
Who'd you
most,
say? Steve Bannon?
yeah, Steve
What is he
Bannon.
running though?
He was in his first term, but he's also a talking head
Yeah.
that's
So I mean,
very
what is he?
influential
And
to
look what
Trump.
happened.
They all influenced Trump. They're all different factions of the conservative party. Like there's
Here-
MAGA, there's conservatives, there's
Here's
Republicans.
the truth though. Every race is gonna. I mean, look at the Palestinians, the Jews. Every race is gonna have a faction that hates other races
Right.
that have their own talking heads that have the power to influence.
Right. But they're
If
the ones influencing the media and influencing the narrative.
okay,
That's the problem.
and black people have their influences as well. Liberals have theirs. Gay
Right. But
people
we're not
have
in power,
theirs.
right now. And
They're
Trump,
not. Who's administrating the cancel culture?
that's all
Who's implementing DEI?
the government, the federal government.
No, implementing. Who's bringing it up? Who's like who said ban not ban but what are they doing at Target? Don't go to Target because they took away DEI. Any company that took away DEI, don't boycott.
Pastor
Boycott all the
Jamal Bryant,
companies.
Pastor Jamal Bryant, he was a part of that. Al Sharpton. Um, yeah, but
Every race has
but there's nothing
leaders,
wrong with that. They need to be
nationalists, radicals. I mean, that's how society is. That's just how it is. There's always going to be people hating out there. There's always going to be some nationalists, some conspiracy theories, all kinds of
right.
shit.
But now when they're the most powerful faction in the world,
Who's powerful? Who's a white supremacist?
Trump, the Trump administration,
If so,
Elon
so
Musk,
I'm gonna hire
Elon
an
Musk come
Indian
from
dude. I'm
apartheid.
gonna hire Elon. I'm gonna hire
Elon is a
a
white man.
gay dude. I'm gonna hire a my vice president has an Indian wife. I'm a white nationalist.
They say they are white nationalists. They say they're Christian nationalists. This is them saying this.
When did he say this?
Look it up. I don't have the exact dates, but that's who they are. They work for Breitbart. Breitbart is a major organization, far right organization, very, very extreme organizations. So that are radical. So
That so that means they're racist.
I mean, if you're doing like that salute, like Elon Musk, he did the salute. Elon Musk is from South
That's
Africa.
that's that's ridiculous.
That he's from South Africa who supported apartheid, which is basically segregation.
If I say I'm a nationalist, what does that mean?
That means that's what you believe in. That's what you're
I believe in America. Like since
no,
I'm in
like if
America.
if you're pro-black, you're a black nationalist. Like
But
that's
if I say I'm a nationalist,
and you want the nation to be like that.
yes, okay,
You're going to impose your values and beliefs on the nation.
right. So Trump is a nationalist. So am I. I am a nationalist
Of what though? You're a white nationalist?
of America. Well, like what you just said.
No, but I was saying they usually just don't be. Well, I mean, if you're a nationalist, then yeah, you support America. There's nothing wrong
Yeah,
with supporting America. Yeah.
yeah, America first,
I
all
mean,
day. Yeah.
that's patriot, but you have to understand what America first, the roots of what America first has come.
Okay, but let's focus on now though.
But that's
We
the
we all we all
history
know the
is the
history.
present.
We all know
History.
the
No,
history.
we don't all know
We
the
gotta keep
history.
moving.
No, we
We
don't
gotta
all
keep going.
you have to keep going, but you have to get to the present is determined by the past.
No, we knew the past. Now let's focus on the present and the future. Right? And we're doing fantastic.
When
And
the same
we keep
system,
going, doing better and better.
no, but we're not. But the same
You
system,
just we're not.
but when the same systems are in place, I
What
mean,
system? What
um,
systems in place?
right now the leadership
What
is
systems in place that's hindering you?
white supremacy
I,
is
is it
systematically
white supremacy because there's just more white people in office?
no, because they declared and professed that that's what they are.
We, there is no evidence of that they
Trump
Trump said that.
discriminated against. There's court cases where
For your viewpoint, from the viewpoint that you have,
Trump's
yeah.
father, Fred Trump, was
Does that have anything
with the
to do with
Klan.
Trump?
Yes,
I remember that.
yes, it does.
So because so if my father committed crimes, am I a criminal?
No, but you were influenced by that. You were raised by that.
But will I be a criminal? Is it possible that I won't be a criminal?
Okay, but he is a criminal. Trump is a criminal. He is felon, convicted felon. Trump's a criminal.
Okay, now what do they say? They
Corrupt.
say
He's
you're
corrupt.
moving the goalpost. We're talking about his dad being in the KKK. Does that mean Trump now, as a grown ass man, as the president of the United States, that means he's automatically racist?
He says racist stuff all the time. He says crazy stuff all the time. Do you not read his tweets?
Okay,
You don't
yeah,
read
I read them, but so do comedians, so do other celebrities, so do other people, so does people in my office. So does that make them racist? Does that make them white nationalists
if
or
that's what they
brown
say,
nationalists or
if that's what they
Hindu
say,
nationalists?
yes, if that's what they're if that's what
So
they
if
are.
if an Indian dude tells me a white joke, is he racist?
I mean, I think it definitely comes down to the intention.
To
Uh,
be just be to make a funny?
but is race funny? Making fun of people's race is funny? I don't know.
I
I
mean, I don't know.
find it.
Ask ask
Find
Dave
it funny.
Chappelle. Ask
I don't.
all the comedians that we watch all the time. When they do racist shit, is that when they do racist jokes, or should I be offended or should I just laugh?
I mean, if it's true, I guess it's fine. But
I
yeah,
mean, how sensitive are we going to be about
I don't
this?
know. I just don't find it's different types of jokes. And like usually when people do jokes, like I mean, I guess Dave Chappelle does a lot of trans jokes and he's not trans. So I feel like that is kind of like sticky area. But if you're like making fun of your own people or somebody that you're closely tied to, then maybe it's okay. But if you're making fun of, folks you know nothing about and it's
So
hurtful, then that's a problem. Like, and the time and place for everything. Like, why are we making racist jokes at a presidential campaign? Like, that's just out of line. Like, that's
are you talking about that comedian
yeah.
that one time? Yeah,
I can't remember his name, but
that came and went though.
it was just distasteful.
But that has nothing to do with Trump though.
It was his campaign.
I
It
know, but okay, but also,
he supported
So
it. He
Megan
knew
Thee
who was gonna be
Stallion was
there.
like doing humping and twerking on stage. Does that? But that has nothing to do with Kamala Harris, right? That's still cordial. That's still demure for Megan Thee Stallion to be twerking on stage for her campaign, or is that she shouldn't have did that because it's a campaign for Kamala who's running for president.
I mean, she was
That's okay.
she was the entertainment.
Okay, the comedian was the
That's who she,
entertainment.
yeah, but I mean,
We can't control. We can't control it. Like y'all can't control Megan's booty. If that's part of the choreography, Was that proper? I don't think his joke was proper, but he's a comedian. I could let that slide. I don't think Megan Thee Stallion twerking and shit on stage was proper, but that's her. That's her part of her act. Okay, we let it
well,
slide. We
they
move
both
on.
made bad decisions. I could give you that. Like, I mean, there could have definitely been a better person Kamala could have brought for entertainment,
I definitely think as a
but she
comedian,
was
she probably
trying.
shouldn't have did that because Trump's already going to be looked at as a racist, and you do a racist joke. I mean, I think that was out of line, but I don't think Trump has anything to do with that comedian. Just like I think Kamala didn't have nothing to do. Is it Kamala? Kamala didn't have nothing to do with Megan Thee Stallion twerking her booty.
But I mean, I think she knew what Megan the Stallion represents in that song that she did, Body. I think it was supposed to show like feminism and women empowerment. So she did know why she brought Megan on, and Trump knows why he brought that guy on. Like
I don't
they
think so.
well, he might not. You're right about that. He probably didn't know, but there was a lot of other people at his rally that shared when they came up to the platform, shared the same type of views. So that party definitely was going after a certain demographic within their party. Like that stuff works for their party. So
So how do you feel about black Republicans?
it depends which ones we're talking about.
Why does it depend on which one we're talking about?
Because some of them, have good points and they seem like they don't see color or whatever. And why can't we see color? We're all different. God made us all different. Diversity is beautiful. So why can't we see color? I see color. I definitely see color. Colors are beautiful. Anyways, flowers are beautiful, beautiful colors. But anyways, but then there's some that have really great points and I get where they're coming from. But I think a lot of them also had different upbringings than maybe a majority of Black people. So they haven't had the barriers that some Black people have experienced.
But what if they
Kind of
did?
like the token black guys. So they're, and if they did,
What if
then
they grew up in the
like,
hood like Officer Tatum? Like Officer Tatum from on YouTube. He's from the ghetto. Candace Owens is from the ghetto, but still ended up becoming Black Republicans.
yeah,
There's a
she's a
documentary called
talking
Uncle
head.
Tom that
She
I
gets
think
paid.
everybody should watch. There's a lot of Black people on there who have come from the streets just like most of us have, and they're Black Republicans. How did that happen? How does that
Well,
happen?
they're probably like one issue voters. They probably are very strong with Second Amendment rights. They might be very strong with certain ideologies and like traditional. Like there's a lot of black people that are very traditional and conservative and Christian. So it could be that. There's a lot of different reasons. Like everybody is different. That's like you can't really just pinpoint it because we're like a lot of us are individuals and we can't be looked at collectively. Like that's just not fair. Like things are nuanced.
Okay, I just brought that up because you said they probably didn't go through all the trials
They
and
probably
tribulations.
didn't. I mean, that's like probably
So every Black person who's
that's probably the
been
stereotypical path.
of a Black Republican,
But
of
I mean,
what?
I have Black Republican family members, not a lot. I have a couple, but like I said, they're one issue voters type people. Like they like very strong on Second Amendment rights. So it just depends. It depends. It depends.
Okay, all right.
Depends. So I don't know. I think we should probably wrap this up. We'll definitely come back. We do love our race shows. We did have one, Race Rules, Everything Around Me. From our, I think it was first or second season. So we'll be back to this. We'll see where we end up on progress or going back to Handmaid's Tale time.
Nope, we'll never go back to that world. We're gonna go up, up, up.
Hey, I like the optimism. I really do. I really do. But one thing I am excited about, I did read on the 14th Amendment right. The Supreme Court is looking at that tomorrow if we should have birthright citizenship, which means people who were born here to non-citizens, if if they're gonna rescind any part of the 14th Amendment, as far as immigration goes. To get rid of amendments, you need the House, you need like
It's a lot
two-thirds.
of steps.
Yeah, it's a lot of steps. So, because I was like thinking, dang, if they get rid of birthright citizenship, which was put in place for enslaved people back in the day, if they get rid of this, it would take a lot to um, get rid of the amendment. Like you need like two-thirds of the House and Senate and three-quarters of the state legislators. So I'm like, whoo, okay, whoo, we won't be slaves. That's all I'm worried about. I'm just
We're
not
not.
gonna be a slave.
That's fair, mother. We're never gonna go to Handmaid's Tale, or we're never gonna be slaves again. That's never gonna happen.
But, back in the day, did people think that we were going to have segregation? Did they think we're going to have Jim Crow laws? Like they didn't know that. Did the Jewish people think
Yeah,
that
right off
would
of
be
the back of
genocide,
slavery.
What's that?
Those happened right after abolishing slavery.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
so yeah, that it's a progression. So we progressed. We're done with that. We're never going to go to Handmaid's Tale. We're never going to be slaves again. That's impossible. One, that's not going to happen, and two, there's just too many mixed people. So I mean, that's ridiculous. That's just
But
a
they
fair
would
market.
just put us, they would just put all the mixed people with the people of color section.
Yeah, if
We ain't gonna be in the white section.
in the fantasies, sure, in sci-fi,
But that's all I'm saying. I'm
when
just
the aliens come down and say, "Oh, we want to divide everybody like M&Ms," that's the only time that's going to happen.
yeah. So well, I hope you're right. I really hope.
I'm right. I
I
put
hope
my
this
life on it.
ages well. I hope this ages well.
Yeah,
Like, how are you so sure though? How are you so sure that
because that's ridiculous. That's never going to happen.
did you ever think they were going to get rid of all these immigrants, like mass deport undocumented immigrants?
Of illegal immigrants, yeah,
They're not illegal, they're just undocumented.
that's illegal.
But that doesn't mean they're criminal.
But you're a criminal if you came in here illegally.
No, it's only a civil crime. It's not a criminal crime.
It's still a crime though.
No,
What's
it's
a
not.
crime? What's a criminal?
Well, there's civil court cases and there's
Yes,
criminal court
I
cases.
agree with you. Yes.
So criminal, you would go to jail or prison,
Mhm.
whatever.
If
Civic,
you get caught, yeah.
you would pay a fine or.
But a criminal is still someone who did a crime, and the crime is coming here illegally. So yes to your answer.
But a lot of people are here on asylum or refugees.
And they're not touching those people.
No, they are touching those people.
No, they're not.
They are.
They're not.
Are. Please chat GPT that.
I will, but they're
Yeah,
not.
They are. So no, they really are. Like that's why
If you're in asylum, they're
upset.
not touching you. Why will they touch you?
Because they're still in the system. They're still in
Yeah, you're in the
haven't had their
system.
court date. They haven't had their court date. So they're still technically undocumented, but they were here on asylum. So that's what's happening.
If
Like
you're in the computer, you're fine.
they're getting rid of people who are
If
here
you're here,
who haven't had their citizenship yet. They're getting rid of people.
if you're in the process, you're here, you're good.
No, you're not.
Yes, you are. You are.
You guys, I'm sorry, but
You're fine.
it's not true.
Welcome to America. God bless you.
No, but you have to definitely look into that.
I will look. I have, and I will do more, and that's not happening.
Yeah, but no, it is. That's why there's so many protests around the world.
Well, they're protesting because they hate Trump. They have TDS.
No, that's not it. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna let you get off of this one. Everybody, we'll talk later. But
What is 3? What is 3?
Oh, I don't know. Peace.